Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to look at the weather for 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Day 10 takes us to the 9th of July. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the GFS and GFS Ensembles. Maybe run around a couple of weeks. And we'll have a look at CFS Weeklies at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. And that gets us towards the end of July. I should get on that for you in a moment. Just say that first, the video today was our European outlook. No 6 AM forecast today. So I went to see Rod Stewart, Sirard, at Franklin's Gardens in Northampton last night, and it was a fantastic show. Rod Stewart as good as ever. You know, voice isn't quite as it was a few years ago. And that's just part of the aging process, I'm saying. But no, he put on a really good show, and it's like a fine wine, you know, he's still maturing well. So thank you so much to Rob for the amazing show last night. But of course, the upshot of that is that I wasn't here yesterday evening to record the 6 AM forecast, so there wasn't a 6 AM UK weather forecast this morning. However, it will be back tomorrow morning, and if you're waiting for it, then it will return tomorrow. But we have released European Outlook, so check out that one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff on the feed. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that, and I shall get on a 10 to 14 day for you. Right now, we're going to begin with Central England temperature. The CET is currently standing at 17.1, which is 3 degrees above average. That's provisional to yesterday, to the 28th of June. Now, they've got like a couple of days left, and we're still in 17, so I'm beginning to think now that maybe we are going to do this. Maybe this is going to stay around 17.0, and if it does, then we will have beaten 1976 and had our hottest June for CT since the 1800s, which would be actually really quite remarkable. And of course, we've already heard that for the UK temperature, not CT, but for the wide UK temperature, where the record doesn't go as far back, then this is probably, or almost certainly, going to be the hottest June on record. So yeah, and that's after a cooler than average first week as well, remember. So quite a remarkable June. Certainly a remarkable week 2 and week 3 of this month. Going to be different as we go into July, though. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Cardiff. And you see, we're just generally going to be quite close to or below average through the first week of July. So we start off on the 29th of June there. We go to around 7th, 8th of July. And just generally a little bit below par, to be honest. Certainly nothing exciting showing up there within the next week, 10 days. Maybe a little bit of a warming trend as we push on into the second week of July, but of course that's a long way out. It's extended, and is therefore, extended range is therefore somewhat unreliable. In the more reliable time frame, the temperature certainly doesn't look that exciting. As far as precipitation is concerned, well, we can see that there will be further rain to come next week in Cardiff. Actually, not too much over the end of the week and the weekend, but as we go into next week, especially later next week, looks like things could be turning really quite wet around the middle, say half of next week, and then possibly lasting into the second week of July. Could we have a little bit of a drying trend there towards mid-month? Maybe, but again, it's a long way out. It's very extended range, and once more, it is going to be in the unreliable time frame. Temperature anomaly is really quite interesting today from the 29th of June to 7th of July, something we've not seen for a long time now, which is below average anomaly there. Cooler than average temperature anomaly for the UK, Ireland, and also parts of Norway and southern Sweden as well. Now, definitely a cooler period coming up after what has been a very, very warm hot spell. Precipitation anomalies from 29th June to 7th of July about average, so going to be a little bit more unsettled compared to what we've had through much of June, and also going to be significantly cooler as well. Latest Windflow Map from nullschool.net shows that we're drawing in wind from off the Atlantic today. That's the reason that the temperature has lowered. It's freshened up a little bit because the air is originating from the Atlantic Ocean as opposed to southern parts of Europe. And that carries on into weekend as well. So going through the chart data, starting off with the UK Met Euro run for midnight on Sunday. Got low pressure for north-northeast Scotland, bringing in the showery west-northwest winds. And most showery westerlies carry on then throughout next week, with further low pressure bringing the risk of showers and or longer spells of rain. Not much to say about that other than looking rather mixed. This is how Icon is looking, again with both showery west to northwest winds on Sunday. They carry on into the weekend as well. Low pressure brings further showers, if not some longer spells of rain with it. And that's how we look as we get to Thursday, the 6th of July, this time next week. Still unsettled, really. Low pressure still in the ascendancy, particularly for more northern and western areas, but all those still really under low pressure. But GFS midnight run, again, rather showery with those northwesterly winds over the weekend and into next week. Further areas of low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic, being wet weather at times. Now, as we get towards day 9-10, this is Sunday the 9th of July, we get this area of low pressure developing just to our west and southwest. That's because we've got some hot air surging up from southern Europe, surging northwards from southern Europe into central and also western parts of Europe. And that acts to fuel what becomes a very significant area of low pressure. If we go back and have a look at the upper air temperatures here, you can see we are drawing up some really quite hot air from the Mediterranean and southern parts of Europe into the eastern side of this area of low pressure. But on the western side of the low, we've got quite cool air in the Atlantic. And so the contrast of temperatures actually fuels a significant area of low pressure there. So it may briefly turn quite hot over that weekend of the 8th, 9th of July, but it would also turn very wet as well, with heavy, persistent, thundery outbreaks of rain. And then beyond that, we just keep it rather unsettled actually, with the GFS midnight run, more low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic at times, bringing further spells of rain, and certainly if not longer spells of rain, then showers would be likely with the area of low pressure there through the north and the west of Europe. The GFS 6Z, again with those showery northwesterly winds into the weekend and the early part of next week as well. Low pressure never far away, brings spells of rain and or showers as we go through next week. Heading up towards day 10, not much sign of a surge of heat from the south on this GFS run. We just keep the low pressure sitting around the country with further showers, long spells of rain, and relatively cool temperatures as well. So shaping up to be quite a cool and unsettled first half to July there with the GFS 6Z run. If you enjoyed the video, please do you like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. We thank you so much everybody for doing that for us. Okay, GM, again with rather showery west-northwesterly wind on Sunday into the early part of next week. We keep it unsettled, cool and showery. Low pressure again is never far away. Just by around day 9-10 we start to get some hotter air going into far south and southeast on the eastern side of this area of low pressure. So that's not far away from a GFS midnight run scenario. If you look at the upper air temperatures, they're showing quite hot air pushing north out of southern Europe and North Africa, particularly into France. We're going to get hot there probably, and maybe into the low countries of Germany, but we're just on the periphery about keeping it at bay really by this area of low pressure. And then the ECM, again rather showery and cool with both northwesterly winds over the weekend and into next week as well. Low pressure never far away, heading up towards days 9-10. Same sort of scenario as the GFS midnight run and the GM that we just looked at. Hot air is down across southern Europe, attempting to surge northwards, but there is also a major area of low pressure in the Atlantic, and that starts moving our way by day 10, Sunday the 9th of July, as that hot air again across North Africa and southern Europe starts to gradually inch its way northwards and acts to fuel this area of low pressure. So that weekend, 8th, 9th of July, could be one to watch for the chance of maybe a bit of heat, but also some very unstable, volatile, and potentially really wet weather. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Temp.com, so further showery bursts to come through the rest of the week and into the weekend as well. And then on into next week, a big massive rain coming in from off the Atlantic through the middle part of next week. That could bring some useful wet weather even down into the south Beyond that, well, further showers and or longer spells of rain moving up towards day 10, when, of course, we've got that major low just to the west of the UK and Ireland, but also possibly some hot air starting to come up from France as well. So this could all turn very, very volatile. These are the ups on the table within the ECM Ensembles today for day 10. Gets us to the 9th of July. 22 members of the ECM Ensembles with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. That's looking rather showery and mixed. 16 with low pressure just over and to west of the country. Looks quite unsettled. And 13 with high pressure to our east. And low pressure is away to west. So we're drawing up possibly some quite hot air from the south with that. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 14th of July. 24 members of the ECM Ensembles with high pressure in the Atlantic. And that will bring in the wind from a west-northwesterly direction. Could be a little bit on the cool showery side. 16 with low pressure, trough of low over top of the country. And 11 with high pressure again in the Atlantic. Low pressure over Scandinavia. Some sort of ridge down towards France as well. All looks a little bit mixed there, I have to say, at both day 10 and also 14. By day 14, that is getting us towards the middle of July. CFS V2 finally, and then we're done. Meets a 500 millibar height, and dollars breaking down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 29th of June to 5th of July, the coming week, with low pressure to the north of Scotland, high pressure out in the Atlantic. Winds coming in from a west-northwesterly direction. Looks rather showery and a little bit on the cool side there. Week 2 is going to be the 6th to the 12th of July. Low pressure over Scandinavia, high pressure up towards Greenland. Winds coming in from potentially quite a cool northwesterly to northerly direction. Could be a little bit showery. Week 3, however, has a change. It's the 13th to the 19th of July as high pressure centres over the top of the country. Will turn us mostly dry and potentially very warm with that, maybe hot. And week 4 carries it on. It's the 20th, 26th of July. High pressure then somewhere between Iceland and Scotland. Winds will be in from the east. So that's going to be a very warm to hot wind direction. And also mostly dry, of course, over that area of high pressure. So an unsettled first half of July gives way to a much more settled and hotter second half of July. If the CFS is right, of course, that's a big if, because it is all a long way out. And as ever with the CFS, it's unreliable. But it's an indication. We'll see. Okay, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like, share, subscribe. But show to everybody for doing that. Drop a comment. Let's know what you think about this and all of our video. Don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for us. Right, I'll just come back tomorrow. So the 6 AM forecast will be back tomorrow. I promise you that. Yes, our UK weather forecast returns at 6 AM. We'll also have GMA Friday and a 10 to 14 dayer coming up for you tomorrow as well. Please keep checking back to the channel for more. For this one, though, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and bye for now.